Hello everybody and welcome back to another guide for Outward. Today this guide was requested by, let me double check a name here so I don't get it wrong, and if I can figure out how to do it in my editor I'll post his name up on the screen. But it was Xavior Oak. And basically he noticed what everyone else is probably noticing. There's not very many guides or tricks and tips and stuff like that for this game, so I'm gonna try my best to at least put a couple out there. Today he requested, let me double check here, I think it was general builds and combat. So he was asking questions about those. So general, what I'm gonna go by is what I personally do myself, so this might not be the best for everybody or stuff like that, because I myself do melee, very basic melee combat. So what we're going to go through, once I get, there we go, is my general build. What I do is I'll go for bleed damage. So right here I got the Tyrannosaur axe, which I believe you can buy once you get to Berg. I believe. Well, you can't buy it, but you can buy the crafting stuff for it. And then I use my Crimson Shield, which is, I believe you get it from the Vardenfall Fortress. And then for basic travel, I'll use my Pearl Bird Mask, my Master Trader's Garb, and boots. The garb and boots, since the update, can be bought on the Saurian Tradesman, which is like that guy right there in the background, the green armor. They can be bought by them in the wilds, but not in towns anymore. They'll also sell a hat. And the hat's really good for beginning, and what this does is it just ups movement speed by a fuck ton, so I mean, that's basic running speeds, and without it, that's how I run. So, I forgot I was a girl. Huh. So anyways, so there's that. Boots, there we go. And where you get the Pearl Bird Mask is you actually get them from defeating Pearl Birds. It's a random drop. It's pretty rare, but it's worth getting for the most part because it ups movement speed by 15%, whereas this one just ups movement speed by 5%. And then whenever it comes to combat, I use my Entomber armor and boots, which I believe I got, let me double check maps here because, oh, I can't. Shoot. Okay. What was that? The desert area, Levant. There we go. Sorry, it's been a while since I played, so I got these from Levant. So, I believe that's what I use. Yeah. So I'll use that for combat. I'll just switch over to that. So weird accessing menus now, which it still adds a little bit to movement speed and whatnot, but not too much. Alright, so next we have, let me see here, what are they called? Skills. So I have Enrage, Feral Strikes, Piercing Shot, which I don't really use. Is that it? Yeah, okay. So I use Enrage and Feral Strikes. So Enrage and Feral Strikes both you can get from a guy in Berg. And basically you'll use Enrage, which, let me get back to that. You'll use Enrage, which grants the Rage boon, which increases your impact of your attacks. And then you can use Feral Strikes after using Enrage, which attacks twice, but it does extreme bleeding and pain, and it does a crap ton of damage. Then there is... There we go. We got basic boons that you can get, and then we got your core boons, core skills, stuff like that. So, Xavier's Resilience, which gives you maximum 40 health, which I believe you get here in Cierzo. Or Sharonace. Cierzo, yeah. You see your Fitness, which increases max health by 25 and the amount of health restored while sleeping by 20%. I believe that's a core, which if you go to buy skills from somebody, it will look like a little horseshoe. and you only get 3 of those. So really kind of spend those wisely. We got Swift Foot, which increases movement speed by 10%, which is base skill that you can unlock. And I don't remember where. I think it's here in Sierra, where this one is in Berg. And then we got Marathoner, which is in Levant, I believe, I think it's Levant. Is it Levant? No, it's the forest, which sprinting consumes 40% less stamina because there's a lot of running in this game. And then fast maintenance, armor training, which armor training I believe I got in Berg. And that's basically what my build is. I go for pure combat, pure melee. There's really... I don't believe in using magic in this game just because it really takes a lot out of you to do it. Because first, whenever you start... I'm going to drink one of those. Whenever you start going for magic, you actually lose health to gain mana. So the more health you lose, the more mana you gain. You can make yourself a glass cannon if you want and have a lot of magic but very little health. Which is okay, but whenever it comes to doing magic, you have 5 runes, and you got to combine those 5 runes in specific ways to have different attacks. Which means you have to remember almost every single possible outcome, which I think is like 600 different outcomes for magic. So instead of just messing with all of that, I just go for melee, and my melee that I use is extreme bleeding. So basically, whenever you attack somebody, usually the Tyrannosaur axe will inflict bleeding right off the bat. So let me see if I can find somebody. And there's one before that, I think it's called the Beast Golem axe, which you can also get in Berg, which is, it just inflicts regular bleeding, which is still a pretty good axe. Let's see here. I don't even remember how to do combat. Yeah, so it does... Oh, jeez. It does mass damage. And, I hear somebody. It does mass damage and inflicts bleeding. And the good thing about bleeding is once you get to something, like, let's say this Pearl Bird. No, the Pearl Bird's almost dead. This guy. This guy. Come here. You can smack him once. Nope, he's not bleeding yet. Come on. Sometimes being too powerful is a little overzealous. Ooh. I forgot how stamina works in this game. Why is my stamina not coming? There it goes. My stamina wasn't coming back. Which, a lot of this game is a lot of just keeping away from people. For the most part, I actually rarely fought while going through this entire game. I just kind of ran past everybody. Because, you know, there's no XP gain or anything like that, so there's no major need to have to fight people. So, yeah, there's that. So if you really... I'm cold. If you really want to fight, by all means, go ahead. That's totally up to you. But for me, I always equipped my fast running stuff, and I go. I just keep away from everything and everybody and just go. The only thing I ever really fought was Pearl Bird, so... I know it's not the best guy in the world, but this is personally what I do myself. So, high stamina, high run, and extreme bleeding damage is probably about one of the better ways to go, in my opinion. Because then at least you're doing massive damage, like with the Tyrannosaur axe or the Beast Golem axe. You're doing massive damage, and if you do inflict bleeding or extreme bleeding, you can kind of play keep away and be perfectly fine because they'll slowly bleed out and die. I know it's kind of cheap to do it that way, but it's kind of what I do. So Hope you guys enjoyed this little tricks and tips on personally how I play. So get out there and have a fantastic adventure, everybody. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, just ask. I'll try to have a video up within a day or two. It just depends on how long it takes for me to actually get around to doing it, because I work a full-time job and have 2 kids and all that good stuff. So I don't normally always have time anymore to get around to this. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions. I'll try to answer as many as I can in the comment section, which usually is only 2 or 3, so that's pretty easy. But yeah, get out there and have a grand adventure in Outward.